Good morning, everyone. Jake, we can call this meeting to order, please. Roll
Keisha
call.
Johnner.
Here.
Mark Ramey.
Here.
Steve McCombs.
Here.
Agenda, I'd entertain a motion to approve today's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
McCombs.
Aye.
Ramey.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Communications, Jake, do we have any?
None to my office.
No, none for me.
No, nothing.
All right, I don't have anything either. Public comments. This is the portion of the agenda during which we can hear any public comment that is not on the agenda. These possibly could become future topics. Anybody have any public comments? Seeing anything online? All right, seeing none, move on. Consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve today's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Ramey.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
On to business. This morning, resolution 2023-2024 is the appointment of the Marion County Attorney. As of last meeting, we as a board had chose to do an appointment. And this morning, it is our honor that we as a board would are looking to seek that appointment. And so board, I believe we had made made the comment last meeting and regarding Jared Harmon. And I think Jared would do an excellent job.
As do I. I think that we all agreed that this was the right thing to do for Marion County for the office. Jared has served the population of Marion County very well over the time that he's been in the county attorney's office. So I'm honored to be able to motion to approve resolution 2023-24.
And I'll second that.
Ready?
Yep.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Ramey.
Aye. Congratulations, Jared.
Thank you, Jared.
Congratulations, Jared.
On to item number 2, excuse me, is the public hearing portion of the Highway 163 turn lanes addition in Marion County in the Iowa Rise project. Tyler.
Yeah, this is the public hearing portion. I'll just give a brief project description. The county was approached by LDJ and the Iowa DOT regarding some potential safety improvements along Highway 163 at the entrance to LDJ manufacturing facility, and pursued application of a RISE grant, which we were awarded a RISE grant in order of $225,000, and then subsequently some C-step funding in the order of $200,000 for this project. And Garden Associates proceeded with the design of the project, and we are now ready to approve the plans and specifications if no comments through the public hearing.
As Tyler said, and we had made motion, we'd spoke about the public hearing. Is there anybody that has any public comments in regarding this? Anything online? All right. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
McCombs.
Aye.
Ramey.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Item number 3 is the approval of plans and specifications for the contract documents and regarding this Highway 163 turn lanes.
Yes, so just to follow up on the last agenda item, all the plan specifications, contract documents, estimated cost of the project have been presented to you in your packet, and we look for a motion to approve such.
Board, do you guys have any comments?
Brad, do you have anything to add?
Steve?
No, I
anything?
think this is going to be a benefit to Marion County economically speaking. I think we've been working on this the last year or so. It looks like LDJ got a USDA grant, so it looks like you guys are moving forward also. So I'm in favor.
Want a
making-
motion?
Is that a motion to approve the plans and
Yeah.
specifications, Steve?
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-22.
Item 3 first.
Yeah, item 3. That's just, yeah, sorry. sorry, we're just.
You're
at
skipping
item
ahead
3.
on us.
Oh,
Steve.
I
Yeah.
see. I'm ahead of
You're just
myself.
approving of the plans.
Yes.
I will second that.
Okay, so
Whatever Steve said, I second.
just to be clear.
Approval of the plans and
motion is to
specification.
approve Plans, specifications, contract documents, and proposed costs regarding Highway 163 turn lane addition, Marion County, Iowa.
Yes,
Correct. Your second.
I
I
am
was ahead of
seconding that.
myself.
I got you. All right, Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Now on to item number 4, which is the resolution of 2023-22, which was the approve the award of construction contract and bids for project number, what's stated. So, any discussion?
So on the 23rd, we had a local letting where we received 4 bidders. The apparent low bid at the time was Cook Construction of Iowa. Brad with Garden and Associates reviewed the bids, and we did some research because of the contractor was not locally known. That was low bid. I don't know, Brad, do you want to speak to that? I didn't. I reached out to Lynn County, did not receive any knowledge of them ever working with Cook Construction of Iowa. Okay, you wanna give that?
Yeah, so Cook Construction, we were not familiar with this up from the Cedar Rapids area. So we did a little bit of an investigation on them, a fairly new company. The owner has worked for other companies up there in the past. I did talk to the city of Hiawatha. They did several projects there last summer and had positive comments for them. Nothing negative came out of that. So they, of course, were able to get bonded. So we did not find any reason to not consider them to be a responsible bidder. So.
And the low bid was 358,000, 8241 after review of the unit prices and final bid tab.
Tyler, maybe just for clarification, maybe just break down the cost structure, county versus grant again.
So
Not, I mean, not just high level.
so high level rise was, we were awarded $225,000 for the RISE grant. Originally $165,000 from C-STEP. Through the amendment, that was taken to $200,000 because of the most recent estimate going into the bid letting. And then all along, Marion County has kind of held that $72,000 out-of-pocket cost for the match for the RISE program, which is in the $50,000 range, but engineering fees were also lumped in, but only a portion of the engineering fees are eligible for reimbursement from RISE. So the remaining would be out of pocket. So that's what got us from 50 something to 72,000 out of pocket for Marion County.
Okay, very good. No, I think it's good explanation, especially for the media to make sure they understand that's not, that total cost is not all Marion County.
Correct.
Very
Right.
good.
And Tyler,
So-
this did come under this amount did what we receive or what the bid was under what you guys, Garden and Associates had stated the project would cost. correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, all bids were under, actually all 4, I believe, were under, this being the lowest, the others were, in the 4 to 440 range.
Okay.
So with this discussion, I, as the county engineer, would recommend approval of construction, and I believe as the engineer for the project, Garden would as well, but I don't want to speak for you, Brad.
Yeah,
So-
correct. We submitted a letter recommending award to Cook Construction.
Very good.
All right.
All right.
Tyler, what's the time frame?
So
And
there.
I did, sorry, Tyler, I talked
There you go.
to Jeremiah Cook this morning and he indicated June 1st is his planned start date. So. And it's a 30 working day project. So construction June, July.
Okay.
All right.
Quick question on the traffic safety side. Are they gonna
Hang
go
on,
down-
Sheriff, can we?
Very supportive. I think it'll be a great thing. Very supportive. I think it'll be a great thing for the county. Obviously, we've had some accidents up in that area and on 163 with the amount of traffic. But just checking, are they gonna go down to one lane? Is that kind of the plan or? Do you know what they're gonna do along those lines?
There will be a period of time during construction where it'll be one lane in each direction because of the equipment that'll need to be on the edge of the outside lanes. So, and of course, the crossover is being paved as well. So there'll be a time when traffic is routed around to the nearest crossover because they can't use that one. So the eastbound traffic will have to go west, crossover, and likewise the traffic coming from the west will have to go on past and cross over for a short period of time while they're paving that crossover.
Thank you.
Okay.
No further discussion?
No.
Entertain a motion to approve resolution 2023-22.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-22.
I'll second that.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey.
Aye.
On to item number 5. This is to a discussion, possible action to establish and approve Marion County EMS Advisory Committee. I believe that was Cal.
Did you guys want to stay or?
When I see people
packing up, I just don't. Thanks, guys. Of course, it's all on video that you're walking out in the middle of a meeting, but that's all right.
It's all good.
Nobody wants to hear what I have. to say.
Good morning, Cal.
Good morning. So about a month ago, we were in front of you asking for a EMS advisory committee to look at EMS in Marion County. We kind of took your direction from that meeting and created an advisory committee with a mission and a purpose and kind of a scope of work that you see presented to you here today.
So Cal, give me a kind of a rundown. You've got some the voting members, and then you've got them down in the township area.
Mhm.
And you broke that up. Could you explain a little bit how you broke that up and
Right, so when we were looking at different advisory boards throughout the state, there were some that had 3 members, some that had 5, some that had 20. What we found out through our research, talking to the different advisory councils, we wanted to stay in that 12 to 13 member board area because that was the most effective number. Seems like talking to the boards that were bigger than that, they weren't as effective. They would only have, of the 20 people on the board, they might only get 8 or 9 to show up. And it made the process drag out longer, and they didn't feel the quality of work was as good because they didn't have as much participation as those smaller boards at getting things accomplished.
okay,
But we also wanted to make sure we had a good representation of Marion County with the cities, the townships, so that everybody feels like they're getting a say in the matter.
and then I do see some non-voting members at the top of the committee too, and those would be people that just would attend, or what
They're
do you
they're
mean?
more the subject matter experts. So as the voting members have questions, need information, that's kind of who would provide that information because they're the EMS service directors in the area. When we also looked at these boards, almost all of them had EMA in there in some way, shape, or form, and about 10 to 15% had public health as part of it in their committees. And then so that's why that's the subject matter experts that can help provide the information that that the voting members would be requesting from the committee.
Right. I do see that we have Marion County Township, Northeast County District number 2. That was left open. We had received 2 board applications in those, and that was Joanne Van Wyk and Steve Van Wyk. And I know we typically in the past, when we have something like that, we leave that open, and depending upon how the board wants to proceed. I believe Joanne's with us today. Is that correct? Joanne, do you have any comments or?
Steve called and said that we were both in the same district. And basically we visited, and I feel that he has more knowledge in this area. He has definitely been a part of the EMS changes. And I think he knows and can represent the area, the district very well. And that was Thursday night. And then on Friday morning, he was hospitalized at Mercy Hospital in Des Moines and was not good over the weekend. A new report said that he is doing much better. It was 110% turnaround, so that is great. But if for some reason Steve can't fill, and I said, you do it. But if for some reason that Steve cannot fill that position due to his health, I am more than willing to step in. And even, I don't know if you can do like an alternate or whatever, but at this point, since it hasn't really been formed completely yet, I am willing to step in if Steve can't fulfill that duty.
But if Steve is, then you're willing to relinquish. it.
Yes,
Okay.
Steve is the
Okay,
guy.
all right, board, thank you. Cal, I do think it's important that we tell the public exactly, when we talk about the EMS, this committee, is to further to just recap again how this could possibly work and what other areas have done.
So
For
what we
counties.
are looking at is, it kind of with, what's kind of happened in Pella a little bit to kind of keep throwing Greg a little bit under the bus here. We thought now was a good time to, let's look at how we operate EMS in Marion County, because obviously there's some gaps and there's some insufficiencies that are out there. We can't fix them if we don't know what those issues are or what the root problems are. So we figured that we have to go through this process anyway, down the road through the state for the system standards requirement. We might as well start now, see if we can find out what our deficiencies are, find out what we do, or what we are doing well, what our deficiencies are, and then this committee can also recommend some improvements that may be needed to benefit or to improve EMS in Marion County, to make sure that our residents are getting quality EMS set forth, and we're meeting the benchmarks that the state and the EMS Association has created.
And then in reporting, if we as a board do establish this committee, how often do you report back, or how's
So
that
initially,
working?
what we've kind of talked about right now is initially they'll do this study and they'll create a state of EMS report for the Board of Supervisors. They'll present that to you. That information is yours to do what you wish with it. If you need them to create more reports or more documents, then they would convene again, reevaluate everything, and then create any more required reports that you guys need.
And Cal, the potential exists for a recommendation to come from this group for a levy.
It could be. This group will be the ones that decide, maybe they look at everything and say, you know what, we need to change 2 things, this and this, and we're good. This group could come together and say, there's 10 or 15 things we need to improve, and here's how we do that.
Mhm.
We don't know what that recommendation is going to be from this committee until they meet and start looking at EMS comprehensively in Marion County.
All right, very good.
And then there is.
There was also a BOS
yep.
opening there.
Position,
Keisha, yeah.
Yep. So that is one of us who would like to be on this advisory committee. We are a voting member. And then we would obviously be able to help explain coming back. So does anybody have any interest in that?
Well, I'm on emergency management. So if you guys aren't, I'll do it if you unless you have a strong desire to do it.
No, I think with what you're already on now, probably you're better fit than anybody for that position. I don't know, has the legislation came about yet on the EMS?
Yeah, so the EMS was last year
Yeah.
that they had given it back to local control. And so this is part of why we're doing this.
Yeah, so
Advisory
Yeah, I
committee.
know that.
so they can come and recommend a
A
levy
Yeah, that
Okay.
was my point.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to finance it somehow in the future,
Well,
probably.
and there's also a couple pieces of new legislation out this year that is for EMS funding from a state level.
Yep.
We don't know how that's gonna
That-
affect
yeah,
anything yet.
That
We-
was my, yeah.
But there is some state legislature going on right now as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Mark, either myself or you, you know, that would be if Steve's not interested, you know, so. And regarding that. but,
Why don't we, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it, Keisha, and put yourself down as an alternate. That way, one of us will be available.
Cal, were you going to speak about our conversation last night, or did you want me to do that, or?
Want to? Yeah.
Well, I just, on looking at this, when the agenda came out in regards to this, obviously as the sheriff and the deputies, I consider our deputies EMS. Obviously, they carry AEDs, first aid kits. They're not EMTs or paramedics by any means. But I was kind of disappointed that the sheriff's office wasn't included on this. So I did a little research. Those different ones that have kind of been looked at or advised, about 6 out of 8 of them have a member of the sheriff's office as a part of it. So I would request a seat at it. If you guys don't feel that's appropriate, then I guess we can, on the ex officio side of it down in it, we can look at that side. But just wanted to bring that up and see what your guys' thoughts were in regards to that.
Cal, is there anything,
When we were putting this together, we honestly, it was not intentional. We didn't look at the sheriff's office. We based our non-voting members off of our Marion County EMS Association membership, which the sheriff is not a part of. He's a part of the Marion County Emergency Response Association, but not the subgroup of the EMS Association. I don't think anybody on the committee would have an issue with the sheriff's office having a representative on the board or as a non-voting member. I think that's reasonable because their dispatch offices can provide us significant information. But it was just an oversight of the committee. It's not that we don't think of EMS as the sheriff's office of EMS, because obviously they provide a very crucial role, but they're not licensed EMS providers in the state. And that's kind of how we base in our world, that's how, that makes a difference.
but no problem with the non-voting? Non-voting
I can
representation.
speak for myself. I don't think anybody on the committee would have an issue with the sheriff's office having a representative on the committee.
Yeah, as a non-voting member, I have no problem with that. If it was a voting, then there obviously could be some bias because we would be fighting for tax dollars.
Well, that would be my point, Greg. I think you're stealing my thunder.
No, sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're right on where I'm tracking.
But
So,
as far as a non-voting member, I don't have any problem with that. I think Jason has some insight from the deputy side, but yeah, I think there's not an issue as long as it's a non-voting member.
Stephen?
Yeah, and I mean, back to what he said about dispatch and stuff, I mean, emergency medical dispatch does play a role in EMS, before we even go en route. So I think having that insight, like you said, we're the subject matter experts. So if we can have somebody, from that side of it that is there to kind of offer an
Mhm.
opinion and some guidance, I think that'd be good. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
The,
So if we're gonna put him on the, it would be on the non-voting. Oh, sorry, Gary.
sheriff's
Yep.
office is very important to us on the start of an EMS and the tail of an EMS. As a non-voting member, they would be welcome.
Okay, good. Sounds like consensus. Good.
Yep.
Is it, we need to amend this at all or
Well,
Cal, do you want to offer just that you're adding the sheriff's department as?
Yeah.
We can add
A non-voting.
representative to the sheriff's office as a non-voting member.
right, yep. And then you will have to fill in,
Fill in
So-
the board of supervisor and
then, yeah,
District 2.
District 2 is Steve Van Wyk. And then, if by chance his health were something to change, then we could have Joanne. So, yeah. All right. Any other further discussion?
I was
So-
just curious how
Can you have your mic, Joanne?
when they first started talking about this, they were going to have a representative from each township. And that's the reason Steve and I both put our applications in, living in 2 different townships. And I know you said that you had looked into how they separated. Did you go by area or did you go by population? Because it looks like the area in which Knoxville is in District 1 is very large. And I thought, well, gee, you have quite a few residents in that area for one representative on the board.
That map is mainly based off of the fire district, fire and EMS district map. That's kind of how that is separated. So, like District 1 is everything that Knoxville Rural, Knoxville City covers. District 2 is everything that Pella Fire and Pella EMS cover. District 4 is everything that Pleasantville Fire and EMS cover. District 5 is everything that Melcher, Dallas, and Columbia cover. And then District 4 is Bussey and Indiana. So we tried to kind of keep it with the district lines and using the Highway 14, Highway 92 kind of boundaries. just for
And that's
easy-
fire department.
Yeah, fire and EMS boundary lines.
All right. No further discussion. Entertain a motion to approve, to establish and approve the Marion County EMS Advisory Committee.
So moved.
And do we need to make?
Yeah, with the amendments.
The amendments, yeah. So,
So they're included. This will be the list that will be the official Marion County committee. is
yeah,
what
do you want
guys-
us to do
and
an,
it's just the representative from the sheriff's office, is that correct?
and then,
And
Mark as, yep,
And Steve,
and then Steve,
and
yep.
Joanne
and
is
then-
the alternate.
yeah.
So this will be the list. If
Correct.
anybody asks for, this is the list.
The official list, yeah.
Yeah, and then myself as alternate
Mhm.
on that too. So, okay, yep.
Okay, so,
Motion.
so Steve, you're gonna make a motion to
Yes.
approve that as amended?
Yes. Motion as amended.
Okay, I will second that.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
Very good. Thanks, Cal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cal.
Yeah, this is your chance to go if you need to go.
Item number 6. Resolution 2023. The tile line crossings. We spoke about this last meeting in regarding our MOU with SWCD. What is that? Tell me again.
The Marion County Soil and Water Conservation District, I believe, as it was stated in the MOU, it was Marion County Soil Conservation District or something slightly different than what it's called currently, but yeah, so this is a follow-up to the discussion we had. I believe it was at the last board meeting. So to take your, the direction of the board, put it in resolution to officially provide our stance on funding for tile line crossings per the Iowa code. And then to clarify that the previous resolution and MOU are no more. And just so you are aware, I think in your agenda packet, I stated our current budget has been, had been $1,000 per year. About 4 years ago, it was bumped up to 1,500. And as you may recall from the last meeting, I think this has happened twice in 9 years. So that we've had that request.
Appreciate that, Tyler. Any discussion, board?
So $1,500 max, whether it's one tile line crossing or two, or, I
It'd
mean,
be-
up to the $1,500, yeah.
If it's a $2,000 request, we would fund up to 1,500. If it's 700, we could maybe do a
Yeah.
couple at that
So,
cost.
yeah, one tile line crossing may wipe out the budget.
Possibly.
Okay. Okay.
Appreciate that.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-23.
I'll second.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
On to item number 7, which is to discuss the road department junction 92 funding update. Tyler.
Yeah, so I honestly do not have a formal proposal for you. I just have some things for you to consider. I've had some discussions with you, well, not all of you individually, but with a couple of you in passing and whatnot. There are some uncertain times legislatively for county budgets. The good news here would be that our estimated cost that was provided a few weeks ago by our architect, the cost of the project has not greatly increased. There were just minor changes to our project estimate as far as the main building is concerned. And just to remind you, the main building, it's the main shop building at Junction 92 is around just over $5 million. Our total project cost with contingencies was around $8.5 million, which included accessory structures such as cold storage, salt sheds, the engineer's office as a separate building with a cheaper construction type, and any site work associated with the construction of those buildings and whatnot. So I did my best because we have had some challenges with the option we last discussed, which was bonding through a local option sales tax revenue bond. I have been exploring alternatives to scale the project down or to delay portions of the project in an effort to consider a cash option for Marion County. As we've discussed in the past, Marion County does have the cash. It puts certain areas and funds in maybe a bind for a time if we were to do the project all at once. If we could phase the project or delay portions of the project, it would be, in my opinion, it would be a better option to maintain those fund balances at an appropriate level to your discretion. Currently, so I am going to state the version 2 cash flow spreadsheet that Jake has provided. So this would be the version of the cash flow for the county funds based on revisions that came out of the budget session, some budget process over the last couple of months. This does not include Senate File 181 and any amendments associated with that.
Yep.
So the current balance projected for the end of the current fiscal year for the general fund would be 6.57 million. For the year that we are currently budgeting for, 23-24, the ending fund balance is estimated at 6.44 million, with $500,000 of the 1 million allocated for Junction 92 budgeted in that fiscal year. So let's say the full million that you've already allocated for Junction 92 from the general fund was expended. The resulting budget in a year and a half, or resulting fund balance in a year and a half would be 5.9 million. Currently, just to give you some balances here, currently there's 437,000 in the capital improvement fund. So this would be the fund established through the sale of the county home. I believe you've made some other deposits in there, and potentially could see an influx if you sell the 6th Street Annex. So I don't know what that would be. And then currently we are projecting a $2.1 million balance for the local option sales tax project fund, which would be Fund 29 for the end of the current fiscal year. Through resolution, you've also authorized 1.5 million for Junction 92 from Lost, which would result in a FY24 ending fund balance of $1 million. So we would receive additional revenue, but also spend 1.5 million. Resulting fund balance would be $1 million. So there's still $1 million fund balance in a year and a half in local option sales tax fund 29. Jake, are you agreeing with that?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Just coming off memory.
So there are a few options there. As far as fund balances, as far as the project scaling, there are a couple things that we could do. We could potentially negotiate.
Good.
Yep.
Can I stop just a second, Tyler? Where is our ARPA allocation in that?
So there was 1.5 million authorized from ARPA as well,
Correct. Okay.
which used up what Chris was not going to use for this location, what you had previously line itemed for Junction, and then some of the contingency.
So I want to make sure I'm staying with your tally here, since we're doing this without any spreadsheets or anything. So I've got 1.5 million out of lost.
Correct.
3 million now with ARPA, so 1.5 million out of ARPA. 500,000 out of general fund.
And then the secondary road fund has budgeted in the budget we presented to you last month, 1 million.
So it's
what-
5 million
5
total.
million cash.
Got it.
That-
Jake, does
Is
that,
it, yeah, did you include the general fund allocation?
I did.
as well?
Yep.
500,000, was that what we talked about? Is that Tyler? is
That's
that-
what was in the projected
Yep.
FY 24.
Right,
Yep.
Yeah, 1 million was approved.
Yep.
By resolution, the budgeted amount was 500.
was
Just
500,000
because timing and.
timing,
A cash flow over 2 years of.
correct, because it'd be
yeah.
500,000, 500,000,
That's what it is right now, yeah.
right?
Yep.
So actually 5.5 million if we space it over a couple of years
Mm-hmm.
right now.
No, still 5.
Still 5?
Yeah, 1.5 million from lost, 1.5 million from ARPA. 1 million from junction is 4 and 1 million from general fund would be 5 million over.
Okay.
Over the next 2 years, yes.
Over the next 2 years, all right.
So Tyler, if we were to say, the 5 million cash, it would cover roughly the main building.
Correct. However, as I've stated before, there are things we would have to do. If we were to construct the main building. We would have to have additional salt shed capacity if we sold our other locations. And what I was starting to say was if we were to sell to, let's say, the landfill, maybe a potential buyer for our clay shop, maybe there's some type of 2.28 agreement that we maintain that facility as additional, we would just store salt there and we could haul from there and then sand and mix on site and keep mix at Junction 92. There's a possibility there. We could
Yeah, I don't think that.
function
would-
that way for a few years.
I don't think that would be a problem with the landfill. I mean, they're still interested in the property, but only because of proximity to, their business. So I don't think that would be a problem. I mean, I can touch base with them in my next meeting, see what their thoughts might be on that.
So that is an option. We could scale back the salt shed capacity in the short term. And function that way for a few years. That would not be ideal. We would also not make modifications to the existing salt shed that we were planning to make. We were actually going to convert the existing salt shed into cold storage. We would just maintain that and not have that additional cold storage, which we currently don't have. Since we lost cold storage we were utilizing at the county home, we haven't regained any.
Okay.
So those modifications were in an effort to get cold storage. But we could function without.
So the other 3.5 million, obviously, I know your office was a little less than 1 million, correct, out of that? And then what's
Yeah.
the,
So we had 750,000 budgeted for the office.
okay,
Through discussions with Chris, I think we could likely come in under that.
Okay.
I would sure hope. Exterior concrete would be ideal to help keep the shop itself cleaner as trucks enter and exit, but as part of the building project, there is a apron around the exterior of the building. We would just move forward with that only and no additional exterior concrete.
Okay.
No additional concrete at the exterior of the office or the entrance into the site.
but all things that you could do later.
We could do later. Yep, so there's 1.5 million there. We had 200,000 per salt shed. So by eliminating one salt shed, that's another 200,000. So we still come up short
Mhm.
with if we build the building, what we would need to function.
Could you, if you did the 5 and then do the office, do you think you could come in at that $6 million?
Say that again.
So if you built the main and built the office, main shop, right? Correct? And then built the office portion? is that even doable?
Well, I really need a salt shed, at least one of the two new salt sheds and cold storage. Really
Okay,
more than I
so
need the
office would be
office.
completely out of this
Delayed.
at this point. It would be delayed. Yeah, okay.
Not ideal, but
Okay.
No, you're fine. That's, I just was asking him.
Jake, on the sales tax, since the purpose of sales tax, part of it was debt reduction. Okay, how much of it can we use? How much of it can we, if we take 1.5 million, which you've already allocated or could allocate for this project, then there's $1 million remaining. If I'm understanding your math right, Tyler.
Mhm.
How, I mean, that would allocate all of it?
So if I understand, the local option sales tax by the ballot was 50% to projects and 50% to property tax relief.
Does this leave us with that?
So the fund balance that Tyler's talking about is only the 50% of the project part.
correct.
Okay, so you're not, all right, so you've got that
If
covered.
I got that, right?
Yep.
So, and then on the flow sheet that we update each year that you guys see during budget and all that. There isn't any other projects on the list that we're aware of.
So the only real way to meet the cash portion of this would be, if we were going cash, Tyler, would be to up the general fund
And
contribution.
lost. And
Or-
lost.
And use the rest of the lost.
Well, yeah, I mean,
So
Mhm.
and
up to that 50%.
Yes, sir.
So the extra $1 million.
yeah, so I didn't provide these to you. I really wanted this to be more of a discussion and I'll be honest, I'm really not super comfortable with anything, not knowing what county revenues look like in the near future, to be
Yeah.
honest. But I do have a couple of options that I can provide you that do show using a total of 2 million from the general fund and a total of 3 million from local option sales tax over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I am,
And using capital improvement fund. I mean, I have a couple different options showing both.
So
There is a way to do it. And
Sure.
And by my projections, the general fund balance falls back to about 5 million, which is basically where we are at now or have been in the last couple of years, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, so I'd say, Tyler, you're right to be cautious. We don't know what the legislature is going to do over the next two cycles to our ability to maintain certain fund balance levels. I was just at the state capitol yesterday having this discussion. So we need to be cautious, but we also need to be aware of the fact that our shop needs to be updated. Some form or fashion, we need to update that working location. As you have indicated, I mean, it's outdated in many respects. So how can we balance those two things with the unknown of what the legislature will do? We can't let that be an impediment to action necessarily, unless they're going to take all our fund balance, which they're not going to do. So is there a way to put together a model with some different options? If you're thinking cash and you're going away from the revenue bond concept, which it sounds like you are.
Yeah, I guess that would be my preference at this point.
So what I would need, I don't know about the other two, but instead of trying to work out all the different dials you can turn, we just need I need a model that shows the different options so that we can tweak those options as we have that discussion within a spreadsheet format. That looks out to the general fund, Fund 1. How low can we go? I think we could get down to 5 million and we'd be fine. But we have to understand what our incoming projections might be over that period. And right now, I don't know what that number is.
Yeah, so we'll have Senate file real soon here this week. Bigger picture, long-term is is it 1124
Yeah,
or whatever it is?
Yeah,
it's not a study
And
billing.
limiting, I mean, it's cities and counties, no matter what the valuation does, limiting to 2.5% growth.
right.
Period.
If that,
Which it could have I mean,
And we don't
Unknown
have
effect at this
quantifiable
point.
impacts yet, right?
we do not know impacts.
At all.
And then
So-
we're not for sure what they're gonna do with lost either.
So we kind of need to see what those worst case projections might be. That's the way I would model it, Jake.
I see.
Yeah, I would go work, this best case is nothing happens, stays the way it is. Well, we already know then from a revenue standpoint, that's a better position than
Yeah.
with these legislative proposals. But if
Right.
those go through, that's what we need to model against.
Yeah.
So Tyler, if, depending upon what legislation does, obviously, and then you working on the modeling, I mean, is it fair to say, I mean, even if it's, we're not making a decision till May or, is that going to put you behind? When were you thinking of, I know before we'd spoke about trying to start it this spring, but obviously that's not happening.
Right.
So when would you want to start working on it?
Uh, Honestly, a 6-month delay at this point it really isn't a factor.
Not a
I'm-
killer.
no.
Yeah.
And I will say, full disclosure, the road department is not trying to be selfish. We've looked at this building too. How can we scale the building down? And our architect has given us value engineering options to do that, and we've looked at that also, but we can significantly reduce the square footage. And it saves us $300,000 to $400,000 on a $5 million building
Right.
that we want to last 60 to 80 years and in perpetuity or longer for the Marion County. Now, this is a long-term investment. To me, 300,000 isn't worth sacrificing right now. Because we're not projecting a lot of growth. We do have space to grow, but we're not projecting a lot of growth in this building either. So we don't feel like it's over-designed in any way.
Mhm.
And with a building like this, there's just a set fixed cost for certain things that we can't avoid.
Right.
And the rest of it is just repetitive.
Yeah.
Bays that don't really cost a lot.
Well, Tyler, I appreciate your sincerity and being cautious and obviously thinking of the taxpayer. And, I appreciate the update and I think working on that modeling, as Mark had said, and hopefully we'll find out more here what legislative will do too.
Yeah,
So-
and I have looked at those fund balances and I've done that modeling. I have it already. I just wanted to see where where the board was at with the cash option, if we really want to pursue that, with the knowns and with the unknowns.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with delaying the project. We've had to delay the project a number of years and unfortunately, inflation has caught up with us but what I will say in that regard is I don't want to wait too much longer either, because this is a steel and a concrete building. And those things are not going to change much.
Right.
In the, as far as getting cheaper.
No, agreed. No, if you can come back to a meeting, Tyler, with some of that analysis to get a good view of the financial picture, I think we as a board can come up with some decision points. I think the main
So-
thing is, like I said, it's modeling against the worst case scenario.
Yeah, which that part I have not. done.
That's what
Yep.
you have to do. The
Yep.
best case scenario, fine, we get that. But it's modeling against the worst case scenario. You have to do that.
And that's kind of where I was at, Mark. I know we can pay for it right now with cash
Yep.
or, over the next couple of years as
Yeah,
Marion
just do
County,
it.
but where does that put us as a whole, as a county? And with the uncertainties, how do we model that out?
Yep.
And right now, maybe it's wait till May till we really know
Where they're
Right.
going. Yep.
what the implications may be.
The thing is, we will always have legislation we'll have to wrestle with.
Sure.
So look at what they're doing now. Eventually the noise on what counties do will die down and it'll be something else. So what will it be a year from now or 2 years from now? But right now, look at that worst case scenario. Let's think about the cash option. I think we can pencil this out to come up with a plan. Then we have to decide if that's something we want to swallow.
How long will the infrastructure take, Tyler? I mean, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about here and that some work that needs to be done ahead of time, that would be the infrastructure.
There's some, there's some minor work we're going to do this spring. Now that we have a final building footprint, there's some things we didn't do that we're gonna do, with our crews and maybe a contractor to just
We have
basically have the site
we
ready.
have the electrical needs tied down.
Our electrical engineer is working on that.
Mm.
It's not 100%, but we're now having conversations with Mid-Am and to nail it down. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
getting close there.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion?
Thank you.
Very
Thank
good.
you,
Thank you,
Tyler.
Tyler.
I'll entertain a motion to close discussion.
Yeah, so moved.
Second,
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Item number 8 is to receive and file and regarding the county treasurer's semi-annual report. Miss Michaela.
All right, speaking of fund balances. So this is the semi-annual report that I bring to you after 12/31 of each year. This is required by code for me to present to you folks for review. Shouldn't be any surprises here. This is just a compilation and a snapshot of the fund status summary reports that we submit, or that I should say Jake submits to you monthly. So,
I have one question for you.
sure.
Do we know, and maybe this is counselors, maybe he can weigh in on this, the opioid abatement fund, do we know, have we got any direction on what we can actually do with that, or? Hang on a second.
I'm currently getting caught up to speed on that. I attended a meeting last week, just kind of getting caught up to speed on where things are. I don't have a good handle yet on exactly what those things can be spent on, but that's one of my top priorities to look at.
Okay, appreciate that. It
So-
stuck out. And
just to break in and off Jared there, I haven't been pinged. There is some board action that I believe you guys are gonna need to consider in the next month. I think there's a March deadline for one of the latest settlements. And I think there is some sort of document. It was kind of going through the auditor's affiliate, similar questions being asked with some specifics. And I can try and get into that a little bit better now and try and point that to Jared as well. So, but we are gonna have, I believe there is some settlement things again.
yeah, I saw something about getting
that
more,
has a
receiving
March
more
deadline,
funds.
or
Yeah.
end of March deadline or something. So that will be a topic coming up again.
Very good.
Board, do you guys have anything else?
Nope.
No,
Make-
this
make
is a receive
motion.
and file. Yep.
Yeah, make a motion to receive and file.
Second,
McCombs,
aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
John,
Aye. Thank you, Michaela.
good.
On to item number 9, which is also you, resolution 2023-20, which is the cancel unpaid treasurer's checks prior to December 31st, 21.
Yeah, kind of another housekeeping duty I do every year this time of year. Again, this is required by code that I write off treasurer's checks that have not been cleared prior to 12/31 of 2021. It's only $55, which I think is really awesome. I think that's kind of a testament to the fact that we've gone to writing laser checks. I think people are more likely to cash those than handwritten checks, number one. And I think mobile deposit makes it really, really easy.
I have one
So-
question on that. Does it cost us more to cancel the checks than what this is worth? I mean, obviously the code makes us do it. When we go to
Right.
cancel a check at the bank, it costs us like $25, I
Yeah,
just didn't know.
no, and we don't actually do that process. We don't put stop payments on those
Okay.
checks through the bank.
Okay,
We're not required to do so.
all right, that
so-
helps. I just wondered when I was looking at that, so. Or do you have any questions for Michaela on that? All right, entertain a motion to approve resolution 2023-20.
Yeah, so moved.
Second,
Ramey,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
McCombs.
aye.
On to item number 10, resolution 2023-21. Again, it's a council unpaid auditors warrants prior to June 30th, 2021. Ms. Michaela?
same thing. Required by code to pull a listing of our uncleared auditors warrants and again, write off the ones that have not cleared. There is one correction to the listing. If you look at the warrant for 879.51 that was written to Gallatin,
Mhm.
that one should also be coded as reissued. So for those checks that were reissued, it was actually discovered at some point along the line that they had not been cleared. A new check was requested, that was issued, that was cashed. So we still have to go through that same process of redeeming the warrant and then doing a miscellaneous receipt to get that back to that fund.
All right.
So if you look at the remaining checks for the outstanding warrants, we're still only writing off less than $300, which again, I think is great.
Very good.
Oh, thank you, Miss. Thank you. Great job, Michaela.
And a
Entertain a
motion to
motion.
approve this resolution.
Second,
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
aye.
Ramey.
Aye.
Item number 11 is discussion, possible action for the Pleasantville Atkins project update.
We have the. What's that? Is mic on? Mic on?
Yep, I'm here, folks.
All right.
Keisha or Mark, I'm not sure if someone wants to introduce this or not, but happy to jump in as appropriate.
I'll go ahead and launch it, Michael, and then if you can jump in, that'd be great. We wanted
Sure.
to in front of the board because we're entering the period to start thinking about timeline and the process for launching this project. That includes the urban renewal planning hearing, structure that we have to follow, development agreement approval, and then eventually to the authorization of debt issuance that we talked about last fall for this project. So you see in your packet, we have a timeline attached. Michael has graciously put this together along with help from our attorneys to show where we're at in this process. So Michael, from there, I'll let you just kind of tee it up for whatever we need to be thinking about today.
Sure, I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you to the board for a little bit of time here today. These slides should look very familiar as they're very much consistent with what was provided last spring as we talked about this project. In thinking about the timeline that we'll summarize before wrapping up here today, we felt it would be good just to refresh everybody, at least a meeting before any action needs to be taken to move forward with a little just the facts. So I'm not going to dwell on each bullet point or each slide, but wanted to give a big picture just to make sure we're all up to speed. I'll start on slide 2. I think it's number 31 in the packet there, just talking about the eventual plan of finance, which would include general obligation bonding. I always like to highlight kind of my big 3 in terms of capacity, authority, and repayment. So we'll start with capacity here. The county's valuation for the current fiscal year is over $3 billion. That's increasing for fiscal 24, but up until June 30 this year, the constitutional debt limit, 5% of assessed value, is a little over 150 million. The county only has 16 million outstanding towards that. So plenty of capacity, over 135 million available for support of this project. We go to page 32, it's just a little overview on TIF. The idea here is that it's a vehicle to be able to capture the new growth in valuation from the community. Primarily this is speculative, whether it's residential, commercial, industrial valuation. We'll circle back to a little bit of detail on that. The first one would be the option that we're likely going to take to have a minimum assessment on some of the value expected to be produced, kind of establishing at least a modest baseline for value that the county can rely on for some repayment. The idea here is that because the county is going to have some skin in the game in regards to some of the initial infrastructure, that the county is going to realize the benefit as this valuation is here to help repay the debt. So that's the focus. This is going to be specifically for commercial industrial development, not residential. Although the county has done residential before, and we have that note, that's a 10-year life versus the 20-year that we'd expect for this commercial industrial development. So let's go into some details here on the next slide, specific to the Pleasantville Atkins property development. Again, this is a commercial industrial property development area. The focus is a build out of over 11 million of new valuation. You know, everything is in arrears here for development. So first tax revenues here, you know, not expected till fiscal 26. So there's some lead time in terms of getting this together. The infrastructure costs around 4.5 million. The county assistance is a little over 2 million is kind of the thought. I think that's maybe around $2.1 million here based on kind of the final agreement between the parties. So like we've done with Prairie Ridge and Pella or the VA property in Knoxville, the county can leverage the urban renewal statutes to secure geo bonding. What that means is this county is going to be pledging their full faith and credit for repayment, but can use those TIF revenues in the future to help make those repayments and eventually target hopefully breaking even. That's targeted as about 3.7 million of future tax or TIF revenues. And we've modeled this out under a kind of a cost sharing agreement with the city on this project. You know, again, the goal here for the county is just to help with the financing, not to, you know, benefit in any more than debt repayment from those future TIF revenues. All right. So let's talk about impact. This is kind of the countywide impact statement that we've talked about in other projects where we know or we hope that this valuation will provide future tax revenues to the county. But we talk about what impact would be countywide, not just if there's no development created here for the Atkins property, but also just no valuation growth period throughout the county over the 20-year period of time. That's a real worst case scenario here, but I think it's worth quantifying. And the way we've done that is talked about what that average impact would be on the debt service levy based on $100,000 of residential valuation. This is $5.42 per year, which is about 45 cents per month. Keisha, per your kind of note with me yesterday, I wanted to quantify that for you. You know, we think that's really about 11 cents on the levy on average over the period of time for debt repayment, but that's an extremely conservative concept. There's a lot of factors there, not just interest rates, but the valuation from the property, then any countywide valuation growth that also buffer this. So one of the things I would note, we're talking about some potential return on investment here from those tax and TIF revenues. I noted earlier, a potential minimum assessment on the first parcel would basically give us 10% of the expected valuation as sort of a floor value. That would further reduce this kind of worst case impact once a minimum assessment agreement was signed as part of the development agreement. I won't go bullet by bullet here, but in addition to the valuation, talking about potential for job creation and that there's future, you know, TIF revenues to continue to reinvest. That's probably from the city's perspective with the city's development as they continue to build out. So again, that's unchanged from what we've talked about previously. What I want to do here to finalize, and then I will be quiet, is just talk about some of the action steps. Well, that's on slide 35. I think going to the timeline on the following page is the best process just for that detail. I know that's probably going to be small on the projector there, but hopefully you've got this in front of you as well. The idea would be to really kind of go through these bullet points. The dates that they're aligned to are going to be subject to, you know, the city I know wants to move forward efficiently as well, but we're really going to be beholden to getting information to the attorneys so the attorneys can run these processes concurrently. As soon as the next board meeting on March 14th, we could start that process potentially to get the urban renewal plan specific for the Atkins property. That's about a, I don't know, 5-6 week process in terms of getting through the steps. The items here, what would be going to the county board of supervisors. There'd also be some planning and zoning steps and some consult steps between the city, the schools, and other overlapping taxing districts. The key would be assuming that everything is wrapped up by the second April board meeting. After that's completed at the April board meeting, you could start the process on both the development agreement and related financing. That development agreement would be kind of three-handed between the county, the city of Pleasantville, and the developer. Then you'd have the hearings on the development agreement and the financing starting in May, and then we'd finalize with the remaining financing steps. And talking with county staff, I think our goal would be to finalize the financing process, but not close this fiscal year, close early next fiscal year, keep things on track from the city and county's perspective, keep the records useful for closing out fiscal 23 and not make extra burdensome work for everybody involved. So this would be if we're moving forward here with the information we need in the coming week or two for the attorneys. If that delays, you can assume some of these action items stay the same, right? But we'd move maybe a meeting or two back, time permitting. I know that was wordy for me, but those of you who've been on these calls or before know that's how it is. Happy to answer any questions for you at this point, but want to lay this out thoroughly to start with.
No, appreciate it, Michael. Right.
Thank you, Michael. I do appreciate you getting back on the debt levy, bigger picture. So I appreciate that. Is Joe on by chance? Joe, do you have any comments?
I am, yeah, that time frame is well explained. As far as the city, our bids came in, we've got award contract no later than the 17th of March. So I'm working with our financial advisor to make sure that we've got at least funds to secured so we can award a contract. So our plans to do so would be no later than the 17th. Then we'll just work with Michael and your staff as far as getting that final development agreement in place, and we can move forward. Vanderpool Construction will probably be awarded the bid, and I believe after talking with them yesterday, they're wanting to move forward probably the start of April after we award bid. So that's the timeline from us.
Any further comments? Board?
No, I think all the projections have fallen pretty much in line with where we were last fall when we started this discussion. So I'm pleased that we've got no surprises. In fact, the actual amounts have gone from 2.3 to 2, a little over 2. The 11-cent debt levy impact is a worst case scenario. It is not, we will have other valuation that will moderate that, especially when we look at what's going on in Pella. But it's good to have that worst case out there. It's certainly something we can support. Jake, what was our debt levy reduction during our budget process this year?
Debt levy reduction.
Or our levy reduction, sorry.
So the debt levy went up like approximately 9, but you at this point, version 2 has a 20-cent reduction in the general supplemental. levy.
Yeah. And we will have room next year to begin to look at that again, depending on what our finances look
Right.
like within Fund 2. So we're trying to be cognizant of that as well. So anyway, Michael, I appreciate the analysis as usual. It's been very helpful.
Absolutely. Sure thing. Thank you, folks.
And what do you need for this, Michael? Is this more a discussion issue? And then we start working on the actual action steps after this?
Yeah, I think the feedback kind of consistent with Joe. I think we're all just trying to get everything lined up and over to Nathan Overberg at Allers. He's got kind of that nice lead time with the detailed additional steps beyond the board meetings. Like I said, the consult meeting with the overlapping taxing districts, the zoning meeting, et cetera. That'll help lock everything down here. If he can get the paperwork rolling for your March 14th meeting, you'll see something on the agenda. If it takes a little bit longer, you start with the March 28th meeting, but I think we're all swimming in the same direction.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Entertain a
Thanks,
motion.
everybody.
I'll entertain a motion to close discussion.
All right, so moved.
Second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Item
Very
number
good.
12. is Resolution 2023-19 regarding the Marion County's Administration for Flexible Spending and Health Savings Account. This Lisa?
Lisa, you got that? So I'll kick this off, Lisa, and then I'm going to turn this over to you. So during our budget discussions, when we were talking about our HSA portion of our health insurance offering, one of the things that we talked over with Holmes Murphy, our broker on this, was do we have other options for our HSA account holders to be able to have a wider variety of investment potential options than they do currently with the Marion County accounts. In other words, right now we put money into Marion County. You can put it in a CD, but that's about the extent of your investment options for an HSA account holder. In the private sector, you can invest in stocks. So much like a 401k, you can have a variety of different options for ETFs, individual stocks, money market accounts, et cetera, for a certain portion of your healthcare savings accounts. We don't currently have that in our relationship. I asked Lisa and our folks at Holmes Murphy to see if there were some options so that we could offer our HSA account holders a wider variety of investment vehicles. So they've got this proposal we talked about lively during the renewal, and they've got some more specifics as to what that would look like. The resolution attached does not mean we have to make a decision on this today, but it's so that we've got this in place if the board would want to move now, or if we want to move at some other time as we digest the information. So Lisa, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, I apologize. I'm short, so I'm trying to get my computer going and talk on the microphone at the same time. So I thought what I would do is just take a step back just for a second and kind of just go through what we have today and just a brief overview of flexible spending accounts and health savings accounts, because they're still fairly new and people kind of get them confused a little bit. So we're just going to go through these just really quick. And then it'll help you understand where we are today and where we'd like to move to effective July 1. So let's first talk about our flex spending accounts. Currently, those are with iSolved. iSolved is our administrator for our healthcare reimbursement, or what we like to call medical reimbursement. Allows you to put pre-tax money aside to pay for your medical bills. IRS sets the maximum. Typically with this account, unused money is forfeited back to the county. However, with Obamacare, that rollover was allowed, and now next year will be 610 to roll over. So you say you want to spend 2,000, you can spend it down to 610, roll it over. If you have 1,000 left over, you're going to lose the difference between 1,000 and 610. Okay. High level. Next, we have a limited purpose account, flexible spending account. Again, it's administered by iSolved. If you're enrolled in a HSA and a high deductible health plan, you've maximized your tax dollars there. You want to set aside some more pre-tax dollars, you're allowed to open a limited purpose. And this would be, money would only be able to be used on vision and dental expenses. We do have one of those accounts set up currently. So those are available also. And then we have the dependent care account, again, administered by iSolved, allows you to set aside pre-tax money to pay for dependent daycare. IRS sets the maximums on that. And again, any of the flexible spending accounts, if the money's not used, it's forfeited unless there's a rollover. Okay, so high level. iSolve takes care of all the documentation, record keeping, making sure that your receipts are for the flexible spending are medical. Some people get a little growly sometimes because they have to submit receipts, but that is their job to make sure that those are eligible reimbursements. We started with Cable. Cable was a local company in Des Moines. It linked well with our eNavigate, which is our benefits platform. So when we went in there, selected what we wanted, it would move right over to that cable system. Now cable was bought out by iSolved. That link to eNavigate is no longer there. So we're having to manually input all that information. So you put it, we put it in, you put it into eNavigate. We then have to transfer it over to iSolved. So again, high level, that's where we're at. Health savings accounts. So these are currently not administered. There's no administrator of our money right now. Because that burden is put on the employee, it's their responsibility to make sure that their items are covered. And they are to prove to the IRS that, that those healthcare expenses qualify. So monies go in tax-free, grow tax-free, come out tax-free. There's they say rollover, but you don't lose your money in an HSA. It goes with you, it's portable. Once it hits the bank that you're at, it's yours. Currently, all money is deposited into Marion County Bank, which really doesn't have any investment options. If you want to walk into the bank and you want to maybe set up a CD, you could. But that's what's available to you as an HSA account holder with Marion County. There is an annual fee. It's $15 plus tax, so $16.05 paid by the employee, which is actually taken right out of your account at Marion County Bank. Okay, so what can Lively do for us? It can administer our flexible spending accounts, all three of them, which you'll see here. I kind of just broke this down from the renewal that we got when we asked Holmes Murphy to go out and shop for us. What we pay currently. Currently, we pay $4.60 for every all three of the flexible spending accounts. So, and that's per member per month. So I have a healthcare savings account. The county pays the $4.60 every month for me to have that account. Okay. Their renewal came in at $4.83. Again, increase and then having a few issues. And then the big key is not linking into talking with our eNavigate system. So Lively alternate is $450. You'll see for the medical spending or the healthcare FSA. Limited purpose is $295, along with dependent care is $295. Okay. With Lively, as an administrator of our health savings account, you as the employee are still required to make sure that those receipts and expenditures that you make are, that's still your responsibility to make sure that they're eligible for that. Administrator means that we would send the money to them. The employee has maximum flexibility to invest those dollars if they want to, or not invest the dollars if they don't want to. There's no fees for the employees. It's a basic account. So if you're one that typically uses your funds that you put in there, which is totally fine, you don't have to invest. Let's say you want to invest and you're like me and I'm like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing when I'm investing. They have a broker. There is a fee for that, but you can invest with their advice and pay a small fee. Or if you're like to trade, you can have an account. It's through Charles Schwab. First dollar investing, no additional investing fees. So you can do all that investing yourself. Computer access, there's a mobile app. It links to our eNavigate system. They have a wonderful website. I've been looking at their website quite a bit. They have nice little videos to teach you just little knowledge tips that you could ask. So here's their website, kind of gives you a little insight of what it would look like. You still would have a flexible, or you'd still have a credit card or a debit card. You would be able to access everything right on your mobile phone or via computer if you'd like. And the one nice thing too that it gathers for Marion County that I think that we kind of forget is that Marion County saves on the FICA tax that employees put aside tax free. So it also saves Marion County some FICA tax. And this system will help us gather all that information. So I think we've missed that in the past. Thinking about that, it came up in one of our demonstrations with Lively, and I was like, oh, that is very nice. So, and then it's the website. You can go out and check. I just took a snapshot. Here's some of the companies that are with Lively today. And there's comments out there. Everyone that I have worked with Lively has been wonderful. So I guess to end my presentation would be, I would like to see the renewal process keep moving forward. If we can make a decision today, that would be wonderful. We still target end of April, beginning of May for our open enrollment sessions with our employees. We have a lot of things to get together before we do that. And the longer time we have with our employees is better because we would like to sit down with all of them and walk through this. So, we will make this process very seamless if we switch to Lively. We will help employees. We'll have people here to walk everybody through, what that process looks like.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
Lisa, I have one question for you. So the Marion County Bank funds that you would currently have, that if the board was to choose Lively, those funds would still stay there if you chose to stay there, or could they transfer? How is that process?
Very good question. So remember that HSA dollars are the employees. So the employees in charge of those dollars. So if the employee wants to keep them at Marion County Bank, so be it. There's a mechanism and we can walk them through transferring it to Lively. I even have some employees that from the beginning, we put it into Marion County Bank. They're like, hey, I get more interest somewhere else in my other HSA. They move it. It's theirs to do with whatever they want to do with. So portable, can stay there. We just asked that moving forward as of July 1, all money would go to Lively.
So we would no longer be using Marion County Bank.
Correct.
And
We
it
would
would
no
be
longer make
if that
deposits
was-
at Marion County Bank.
Okay. Just want to make sure everybody. So, Tyler?
Hang on.
No, Tyler, we can't use this for the road department.
I just have a question about, you said once it goes to Marion County Bank, employees can move it to an account wherever. And I don't know, why can't we just pick and choose where, as an employee, where it goes initially?
Well, that would be
What-
great in a perfect world. Our
Okay.
software and Danny,
Be a lot of work.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work just putting it to one bank. No offense, but the way the system works is not conducive to that. So
And I didn't know.
That's a great
To me, it just
question.
Seems like a direct deposit, just like our
And-
payrolls is going all over the place.
And I would
assume,
agree
so
with you. That's exactly what I thought, but that's not
that's
the
not
case.
case.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah, very good question.
So we'll continue to research into that, into our program as well on those contributions and where they can go.
And this, obviously, we will be, you will be involved in our implementation. If
I
we go
understood that
forward.
right, and all the contributions would go to Lively, and then
Mhm.
Lively disperses them to the financial institution of choice. Is that what I understand? No.
All the money would go to Lively. And actually, this one's going to work a little different. We would hold the money. And then when those expenses come through on the flexible spending account, they would only pull, we're talking two different things. HSA would go yes to the employee. FSA works just a little bit different than
Yeah.
it does now.
Okay.
But once you're at Lively, everything you may invest it, but it still shows on your Lively app and it still shows your overall account at Lively. So like if you decided to invest in Charles Schwab, it would just, instead of saying like Lisa's checking, savings, whatever, at a normal bank, what I would have, this one would say, okay, here's your total funds. Here's what you have in your checking account, I'll call it, and this is what you have in your investment funds.
So.
But that would be
so-
post our process.
We would not know that, correct?
So Lisa, go back to the slide where it shows the accounts. Or, I'm sorry, Emily.
I unshared, sorry. Give me a second. Do you want the flexible spending or the HSA?
Yeah, HSA, flexible spending is
Isn't it?
is what it is. So. There was a page where you had Schwab and then there we go. So just so you understand, what Lively is an account administrator. So for the HSA component, the money would go through Lively to be distributed into either, you're gonna have to help me say it,
I call it
Denvier
Devenir. I'm not
Devenir?
sure how to say it, so I avoided it,
or
sorry.
Schwab. Devenir is an investment brokerage. So if you're not comfortable buying individual stocks, you don't know what to buy. They have a series of managed funds, ETFs, that they can help direct your money to give you the disbursement of risk that you might want. Schwab is going to be you as an employee saying, I think today I want to buy Tesla stock with my HSA. And I want to buy, and so you do it. And there are no fees in Schwab for trading. So you could say the next day or after your money clears, I don't want to buy a Tesla anymore. I want to buy something different. So you can sell that stock and buy something different. Or you could just put it in a Charles Schwab money market, which is currently about 4.35%. So it provides you a lot of flexibility on the HSA side to invest as your risk tolerance dictates. And then that will all flow back to the Lively app. You'll see all that because those accounts will link all to that app. That's what they do. They aggregate all that. Fair?
Correct, thank you.
You're welcome. Do you
Yeah,
have
I
any
guess
questions?
somebody's watch is going off. No, I don't have any questions. I just want to make sure that the employees would understand, the change. And so I personally would, I don't see a problem with it, but I don't know making a motion today. I would like to wait until the first meeting in March. That's how I feel to make a decision on it. But
I
the
can't
other
see
speak-
that.
So what sorry, I don't mean to cut Keisha off.
Oh.
The question Danny's asking there that we talked about a little bit amongst Danny and I amongst ourselves is Cobra included in this, or does that stay with?
So Cobra is totally separate. It is still it's a different component with iSolved.
So that would
It's
still
kind
be
of
iSolved?
separate from these. Yep.
Okay,
So
that
we
was-
would definitely
that
keep
makes-
iSolved to administer our Cobra as it stands. Yes. We're only talking about flexible
it is
spending and
literally just
HSA,
flex and-
literally just the two.
Steve, Mark?
So if an employee chooses not to invest,
Mhm.
then the money just.
Stays there. Yeah.
just-
Just like today at Marion County Bank, it's I believe it's in a checking account because you can write checks, you have a debit card. It's this exact same thing. Lively just has, an actual platform. It would actually be an administrator for our HSA. We could pull some data from, as the employer, we can pull some really valuable data, having everything all together in Lively. Plus the employees, that is one of the top questions I get asked of employees. Can I invest it? Because a lot of people, I mean, we have 24 people on our HSA today. And I can tell you a handful of them had already had HSA somewhere else and they're making more money somewhere else. So they want that, the employees want the option to invest if they can. And I feel Lively is the best option for them. Because like I said, if you're a beginner, like Mark said, if I'm a beginner and I don't know what I'm doing and I want to invest, I want to get a little bit more money, earn some money on my HSA, I have the option to use a broker. I don't feel that their fees are outrageous. Or I can do it through Charles Schwab, or I can choose not to.
So the ones that are currently have a HSA, you have contacted those employees and
No, you have to remember that we're high level right now. Okay, so we're still going through the renewal process. So we have to, we're still in the process of who do we want to put our flexible spending dollars and our HSA money with. So we're still high level. We still do what we do with our employee meetings. And that's where our department heads, elected officials come into play to allow those employees come to our meetings. So we can educate them and get their questions answered, get them set up on the new Lively if we go with Lively, and make sure they understand the changes. Again, this year, we're going to really concentrate on the high deductible. We've had a lot of interest in the high deductible health plan, at least employees wanting to check it out. And so we want to give them the opportunity to hear what their money can do for them. So this is still high level. We need to make a decision so we can put together the packets, have the open enrollment meetings, and then educate our employees. So that's where I'm at. So we're still high level. But our team at Helms Murphy continues to help us work with our employees. We're in contact with them weekly, if not daily, both Renee and I. And I'm sure Lively will have support also. I know they will have support.
Steve, did I answer your question?
yes.
Sorry, it was kind of lengthy.
I'm sorry. I mean, this is a governance question right now. As a board, we have to decide who we want to have financial relationships with. And then once those decisions are made, then the operational pieces flow from that.
Correct.
So I know Lisa's on the clock, but like I said, this is a question for people. Got to digest it. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Go out and check out the websites.
Yeah, I highly encourage you to check out their website.
For me, this is old hat because I've had an HSA for over 20 years. So with all the options available in an investment account until Marion County. Okay.
Are we good?
Yeah,
Good,
yeah,
good.
yeah. All right. So are we in a consensus? Are we waiting to make a motion for Nick's? or
That's fine.
just-
That's
okay,
fine.
all right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. All right. So I'll entertain a motion to close discussion on.
So moved.
All right.
Second,
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
aye.
Thank you, Lisa. Item number 13, Board of Supervisor updates.
Well, we got mental health this afternoon. Again, waiting to hear from the legislature on any more changes. We are having some discussions with another mental health region on the potential for a merger. So we'll start that process today and see where that goes. Rachel will lead the board through that discussion. Given the direction we're hearing from both state administrative offices and the legislature, this is probably the direction that sooner or later regions are going to be forced to do, is to merge. That will have implications for fiscal agency and how services are distributed. And don't worry, Jake, it won't be you.
Thank you.
So more than likely, it will be some type of, it'll be another county. If the board decides to head this direction, remember the mental health board has to decide that it wants to proceed. So we'll have that today. Great discussion at the Capitol yesterday, meeting with our representatives. And met with Barb. Didn't get a chance to talk to Brooke. She was running in and out. But talking about property tax reform and a variety of other legislative initiatives underway. And I'll be going back up again next week to continue those discussions. So very appreciative of Barb's time yesterday, and we'll keep you posted on if anything material happens.
Other than tomorrow, I think we have a continuity of meeting, continuity of government meeting tomorrow at 10. Am I correct? Other than that, no, I don't have anything.
Friday, we have the economic development meeting. I believe it's here. On, like Mark is talking about, with mental health merging, Iowa Workforce Development, they're also, we're in the process and how that is going to continue to work, and whether there will be, the western side of the state has dissolved, the northwest side, and this, I believe it is central, north central has also dissolved. So there's a lot of dissolving of the counties in Iowa Workforce Development. We are in central Iowa Workforce Development area. So how that's going to impact us, there will be ongoing conversations. So other than that, I don't have anything. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.